just getting to work, which will start in June in our summer program, and get the business and get ready to put ourselves in a position to have the kind of year we want to have.
When you compare this time last year, how you constructed the team from the transfer portal, is it pretty much apples to apples, or have there been like maybe significant differences between last year and this?
Well, I think we've doubled the retention rate, which is nice, and I like to see that. Guys, I think the way we finished the season, I think has given them confidence and belief in winning and what we can do if we get the right guys here, and so that's exciting to have that. And then just getting Marcus healthy, I think is going to be key, and he's been working extremely hard to do that. He's been back out on the floor, so he's making really good progress. So we're really happy where he is right now. And then just I think we were very strategic in how we went about the portal. It's not about the rankings really and who's rated the highest prospect. It's really about the fit. And I think with each guy there was very specific need, and I think we addressed those things the way we wanted to.
And now having a few seasons, obviously, with the portal, how you know how to deal with it, how much more challenging does that make? I mean, just recruiting and you're talking about retention, but just keeping players in general.
You're trying to, even as the season is winding down, you're trying to see where everyone's at, and you're kind of trying to get a feel for what you might be up against, once the season does end. So, I think that's something you're always considering, and then, you're thinking forwardly to what, the next year's group will look like. But, yeah, it's, I think it was a positive, what we've been able to do with it. I think what I'll learn is, to do more team stuff this summer than I did last year. And I think I might have said that going into last year, but you just kind of sometimes get stuck in your ways where you're doing more skill and you're trying to just watch the guys and you're trying to get guys better. But I do think we got to have a heavier dose of team related stuff, which I'll focus on in July.
Do you think there'll be more older, more mature rosters in general as a result of this?
I mean, I think you're definitely seeing that, and with what we've done, we've added a lot of experience, and with Desmond and Devin and Warren, and those guys played a lot of basketball, and even a guy like Frankie to get the experience that he got in the NCAA tournament, this year, I think will be valuable, for his transition here to Arizona State.
Could that help college basketball, despite how much rosters are changing every year? Being able to get guys that you have a better sense of might fit what you're looking for, and having just older groups?
I mean, it is what it is. It's not going to change. It's we as coaches always talk about getting older and staying old and trying to have guys that have played a lot of games under their belt and having them out on the floor. It's experience matters, and it's very important. So. And I like the group because they're very motivated too. The guys are coming in. Devin, has a lot to prove, and that's something that we talked about. And Warren Washington sat in my office and had some great things to say about the impact he wanted to have. And so I think we're bringing in a hungry group. I think I've had 2 years in COVID where I have not lived up to the standards that I set for myself as a coach. So I have a chip on my shoulder. I think Marcus Bagley certainly does, and in all our conversations. So I think we should be a hungry group.
When it comes to the older guys that you do get via transfer, how do you balance kind of showing them how we do things here and how you train versus what they've learned before and what you do?
I've been the type of coach that I try and just watch my team and try and see how I could get the most out of them without having to over adjust to me. I'm gonna try and run Des Cambridge off screens because he could really make shots, and try and utilize what he could do offensively. And I want to get out and run a little more than we did last year. We were too deliberate. I think we did that out of necessity, but a guy like Devin Cambridge that could get out on that wing and will be one of the best athletes on the court anytime he plays. I want to see him in the open court, and getting Marcus back and figuring out how we can maximize him and get him great opportunities. And then I think Warren Washington certainly negates the loss of Jalen Graham in terms of him being able to score a little bit in the paint and face up a little bit. And so you try and utilize the skill set of the guys you're bringing in and not force them to have to adjust so much.
With all the normal hurdles that a freshman goes through, it looks like the injury to Enoch in the preseason maybe just kind of unfortunately set the tone for the rest of the year. Suffice to say, it's a huge offseason for Enoch, and you think bringing Warren on board can really help his development?
I do. I think it'd be great, great mentorship situation for Enoch. And, Enoch's a guy that, had really high hopes for this year and had a lot of success in high school and, was impacted a lot by COVID, not getting the opportunities to develop in a normal way. I think he's a player, especially big guys, I always believe, can take a big step, as they get a little more experience. I think, the opportunities he did have to play, he showed flashes, his freshman year, but I think there's a lot of growth there. There's a lot of chance for him over the next several months to make a jump.
How might you approach recruiting the transfer portal versus the high school ranks? How do those approaches differ?
Well, I mean, it's speed dating, really. It's really kind of, it's a situation where you're getting to know someone fast. You're watching a lot of film, a lot of synergy. I think it's more of the end product than you would necessarily look at from a high school player. You're going to possibly see a lot more development there, but as far as the transfer portal goes, you're seeing guys in high level games performing, and then how would they fit into what you're looking for. So I think there's less guessing involved in terms of taking some experienced players in the transfer portal.
What's your sense of the point guard position now? I'm assuming you wanted to get DJ more off the ball, which is part of the moves. And how do you feel about that spot?
I mean, I like where we're at with the position. Certainly, I think I have a lot of options there. And with DJ, I think he could play some one and he could play off it too. He proved that this year when he was in there with Marion. So Frankie certainly provides that. I think Austin Nunez is going to be a guy that could come in and provide minutes at that position, as well as Jemiah Neal's versatility. And again, he was a guy that had his moments as a freshman, and he's another guy that I believe in. I think he could be, really good for us down the line.
You think he could be an initiator as a?
I do. I mean, I think he's comfortable with the ball. He's got to make some adjustments, and he's got to get a little tighter with it under pressure. But he's got good vision and good skills with the ball. So I think there's multiple guys that could do it. And I've always, I've generally played multiple point guards out on the court together, so I don't think it'll be an issue.
Why did you target Frankie specifically?
I liked Frankie's his size, his strength, just his ability to get downhill and get to the basket. And I think he's a two-way player. I think he really has good, strong, athletic body. I think he'll get after it defensively at that position. So and I watching the film, I know sometimes shooting comes down to confidence, and I think his numbers weren't great, but it's certainly something that we could work with, and I think he'll improve in that area. But otherwise, he checks a lot of boxes.
You mentioned options, not only at point guard, but kind of everywhere. This seems like a deeper team than normal. Do you think you'll get a more 10-man rotation this year, or is it just kind of wait and see?
Well, I think there's still a lot to be determined till we get to that point. And it's just, for me, it'd be the summer to evaluate and just see what combinations look good. But I think it would provide some opportunity to get to some four guards looks at times, and there is roster versatility to do a number of things. So I'll have a chance to examine that throughout the summer, and you just knock on wood, everyone stays healthy, and then obviously have great depth, and you just see what that looks like by the end of the summer.
It's anybody's guess how the acclimation process is going to be, but the fact you got the Cambridge brothers, everyone in Washington, all three of them know each other really well. Do you think that lends itself to maybe having better chances of them really hitting the ground running just because they're familiar with each other so much? Yeah,
I like that there's better chemistry there, and you have two guys that have played together a couple of years now, and are roommates actually at Nevada. Des and Warren are, and then obviously the relationship there with Devin. I think you'll bring in guys that are already connected in some way, so that helps accelerate the team building process.
Can you talk about that, Frankie? Because I know obviously you recruited him out of high school. It's kind of, I guess, cool it came full circle for you and for him.
Yeah, I mean, it happened pretty fast, and Frankie hit the portal, and we were in communication with him quickly, and he wanted to visit fast, and so it was exciting to see that, and I think he liked the idea of getting back to the West and in his region, and certainly I think he saw the success that, you know, the guards have had here over the years. So I think that played into his thought process as well.
The NCAA's weighed in on the NIL stuff and booster involvement. What's your kind of perspective about how that has impacted things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking, you know, for clarification, and to be honest, I'm trying to get a handle on, you know, what's happening, because, you know, you're seeing what's going on nationally and some of the deals that are being reported. So, you know, I mean, I'm going to be the next few days trying to absorb what was said yesterday and see how that's going to work and what that means for, you know, our landscape. So that's going to be, you know, an interesting thing that I'll be focusing on the next few weeks to see where that takes us.
You're going to have camps next month. It's going to be like almost like a normal summer, it seems like, in a lot of ways. What is it like kind of getting back to those routines?
It's awesome, and you know, I love the little kids camp. It's always exciting to watch those guys. They just have that gleam in their eye, and they're running around out there and they're having a blast. And I'm having my players get a taste of what it's like to be me, and they're coaching these little maniacs running around, and they're, you know, talking trash to each other. The players are, as they're coaching the game. So we've missed that the last 2 years, and I've had a ton of former players. I've had, you know, players that I've coached at Buffalo come back and work these camps, and former players here at ASU. So it's been a way to keep the legacy of the players in the program connected to the current players. So, you know, I think it's the best thing. So I'm happy that that's back in play. And then the team camp, man, we've had some players in our team camp. You know, we had DeAndre Ayton in our team camp when he was at Hillcrest, and he played a game here. And we've had Nico Mannion and just, you know, a bunch of high-level prep schools here. So we've had a ton of, and that's been a fun event for us to see as well, just to have, you know, all that foot traffic again and have families come and watch their kids play in the team camp has always been a fun thing. So we're excited to do it again.
Any players on the roster you think have the patience to put up with a camp in the future?
The patience to
coach it?
To coach?
Yeah.
I mean, heck, I don't know. That's put me on the spot with that one. You know, heck, Marcus is doing good. You know, I think he's been on a couple of these recruiting visits at dinners, and he's closed the deal a few times. So he might have a future as a recruiter and a coach someday if he chooses to go that direction.
What
How
about
would you describe him as a recruiter?
You know, he's real laid back. He's not like a pressing guy. You know, he's kind of low key, but you know, good conversation makes the guys feel comfortable and at home. So yeah, and his presence is there every time he's at dinner. You know, we're getting commitments, so keep riding Marcus out here.
What about his health? What about his health?
Yeah, I mean, he's moving well, and he's you know, he's not at the point where if we had to play a game tomorrow that I would say, I'm like, yeah, let's get him in there. But he's played some as we finished our spring practice at the end of April. He was doing some live stuff. And it was controlled, and it was in half court, and he went up a little bit up and down. So he's had those live reps already where he's playing. It's just, you know, a matter of him. He lost a lot of time and a lot of basketball, so and we have the time to build him up. So we're doing that and being smart about it. But I have no doubt, just, you know, where his mindset's at, that he, you know, he's on a mission to get himself healthy and have a great season.
Back to the camps for a second. When you see your guys work with these kids, do you feel like it actually makes them better in a way because they get to actually teach and explain, like you said, being in your shoes?
I think it's fun for them because someone had to do it for them. They wouldn't be here if no one worked with them and showed them a drill or, you know, did something with them. So to get, you know, again, they're giving back and they get a chance to. And a lot of these kids are the kids that are, you know, sitting in the stands watching them play. So they have certainly a connection to our guys. So to see them, you know, have a chance to interact that way I think it's great for them.
What about the chemistry of the team? It seems like in recruiting, obviously Ryan Desmond and Warren were roommates, and Devin, the brother, obviously. But do you feel like their chemistry is better now? Something they trying to target it during the offseason?
I just think we needed to, with the guys we brought in, guys that were serious about winning, guys that, you know, in Desmond's case, he's got 1 year. He wants to maximize it. You know, Dev, you know, and Warren have played a lot of basketball. They want to go to the NCAA tournament. And again, we needed to address certain needs. We needed to get better at shooting, you know, so hopefully adding Marcus, adding Desmond accomplishes that. We need to get more athletic. and be more of a transition team. I hope Devin, identifies that. We needed to find some interior scoring, and I think Warren, handles that very well. And then, Frankie was a highly decorated player, and played on an NCAA tournament team and played minutes in those games and played very well. So we're excited what he'll bring to the table.
What did you take last season from a coaching standpoint because of having to play more of a possession style basketball and maybe running more sets? How did that sort of impact you, especially the success that you guys had at the end of the year?
It's not my style, and it's not exactly in my comfort zone, but like you're seeing, like, hey, I got to rein things in more because it's not working, so you have to make those adjustments. And so we were a little more deliberate, and we knew that our half court defense was pretty strong, so we wanted to try and play to our strengths. But I do think that we got better as the year went on, especially on offense, and by the end of the year we were putting 75, 80 points on the board, and which I thought we might have done sooner. It just didn't happen for whatever reason, and that's why I'm hoping to do more team-oriented stuff, and hoping to really get my pulse on how we need to play, before we hit the practice floor in September.
So as frustrating as that might have been offensively, dealing with the team that struggled kind of at the outset like that, do you think that could down the line be viewed as something that is beneficial for just you and your staff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of being a coach, that you keep doing it the same way and it doesn't work, then you're crazy probably. So like we saw that I think we had to play to our strengths more, so we took more control than I normally would have, especially for my guards. But I just think that this year could be different in that regard, and hoping to get back to playing a little bit quicker, because our tempo and our scoring were not anything like I've had in years past. And then the other thing we have to do, which was one of the things that hurt us, is we didn't get to the free throw line. Like I had teams that were NCAA tournament teams that would get to the line 25 times a game, and I think last year we got to the line about 12 times a game. So when the margins come down to very small amounts, and you're not able to put those free points on the board, it kind of hurts you. So those are things that we'll find out ways to do a better job of that.
When you look at a guy like Devin Cambridge, does it remind you a lot of Kimani?
He is like very, just does a little bit of everything, like really good all-around player. Super athlete. He'd probably be the best athlete on the team, and that's crazy because Marcus is here, and if he's healthy, I'd love to see some things happen in the gym with those two. But he goes to the glass. He gets out in the open court. Just does brings a lot of energy to the team. I think that's what he'll primarily bring.
It seemed like down the stretch too. I mean, defensively, you guys, took big strides defensively throughout the season. But where do you see this? I mean, you're saying the athleticism, obviously that helps defensively. Where do you see this team going?
Yeah, I think perimeter, we should be solid, on the perimeter guarding, and I don't see any dip in that regard. I think add in a 7-footer with a big wingspan that has the potential to alter and block shots, and you add him with Enoch and Alonzo Gaffney. I think that's really good basket protection, and then the athleticism on the wings. I think we get bigger on the wings with Marcus and Devin. So I think there's some real upside. I think Jemiah has a chance to be, if he really commits to that, being one of the better defensive guards as well. So there's a lot of pluses at that end of the floor that I think we could look towards right now.
How weird is it going to feel to not have Kamani on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, the guys always give him a hard time. I'm gonna miss that. Just the kind of calling him an old man and stuff, and all the things that happened during the course of the year. I'm sure you've seen that, Kamani, and so it'll be different. But I think he's excited for the next step, and he's one of a kind though. I don't know if there'll be another Kamani that would be around that long. Especially as we get out of the 5-year deal here that we're in now with COVID. So yeah. Thanks, guys.